All right, good evening to everyone. Welcome to the Forest Park Economic Development Commission meeting. Again, it is a virtual meeting. We're starting about 10 minutes late due to waiting for a quorum. And we will start the agenda with the roll call, which Paul, we have Ron Johnson, Chelsea, Trevina, myself, and we are missing Ed Miners, Richard Bedford, and we have a vacancy.
That's it.
So we'll need a motion to excuse, unless you think they're for sure going to be here, Paul, to excuse Ed Miners and Richard Bedford.
No, we typically go ahead and take the motion. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I move to excuse Richard Bedford and Ed Miners from tonight's meeting.
Okay, it's been moved by Trevina. We need a second.
It was moved by,
Chelsea.
yes, and second by Trevina.
I apologize, ladies.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right. No discussion on that, I'm sure. Unless, Paul, you know of any reason that they're not here due to illness or something.
I think both of them just had conflicts this evening, so.
Okay, all in favor of excusing those two members? Indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? The ayes have it. It's been approved unanimously. That's the roll call.
We also want to acknowledge that council liaison Diane Hervey is present as well.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will move to the minutes. I have read the minutes and I couldn't find anything that needed amended or corrected. So anybody want to comment on the minutes or make a motion to accept them?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes.
We have a motion to accept the minutes as read. We need a second. Trevina. So Paul, Ron moved and Trevina seconded. So the minutes are approved. Chairman's report. Just a couple things. The election is coming up on May the 4th, Tuesday. And the only thing of significance that I'm aware of is the tax for the schools, the real estate tax for the schools. That's on the ballot. So it's important that we all get out and vote election day. Another comment I wanted to make was, I don't know if you folks are aware of it or not, but environmentally, the eagles in Ohio are making a terrific comeback from being almost extinct and having about 30 birds in the state 10 years ago. We've got, I think, a couple hundred, maybe 300 birds in the state now. And we've got 6 of them right around our neck of the woods here. I have seen 4 of them. Winton Woods has a nest. I have not found the nest, but I've seen the eagles over near the dam, the West Fork Dam. Up on Route 4 by Sims, the intersection of Route 4 Bypass and Sim Road, across the street from Interstate Commerce. It's a huge trucking warehouse up there. Across the street, there's a marsh. I have seen 2 eagles in a big nest back there, about 200 yards off the east side of the highway. And then there's an interesting site called Ralph and Alice, named after, some of you may be old enough to remember this. Ralph and Alice. It was played by Jackie Gleason and Audrey Meadows. The eagles were named after them for some reason. And there's a website on them called Ralph and Alice Eagle's Nest. And it's up near Lake Isabella, near Hamilton. Camp Campbellgard, the YMCA camp is there. Just beyond there, if you go across the river, if you stay on the side of the river the road's on and you look across the river, you can see the nest there with Ralph and Alice in it, and you can see them feeding their chicks. So we've been to some of these eagles' nests 2 and 3 times over the last month, and it's very interesting. And to see the comeback of the eagles, and to see them flying around. My daughter bought a new camera to take pictures of them. She's got
Nice.
pictures of them flying right over her head. So
Are you talking about Ralph Cramden from the
Yes.
Honeymooners?
yes,
Ralph
thank
Allen
you,
Green.
Pam. Yes.
To the
So
moon.
yeah. So at any rate, I just thought I'd mention that environmentally. And other than that, I see the Magna building is still making progress, and it's looking better and better every month. And whatever store it is in place of the Chase Bank is going up pretty quickly, right near to where the McDonald's was torn down on Northland and Southland. That's making pretty good progress too. And I guess that's some,
What is that specifically?
Paul
It's
can,
it's a dollar store.
Are you kidding me? I thought that we had, wait a minute. Diane, I can't see your face right now, but I thought that we have expressly,
We don't own the
Exactly.
property, Chelsea.
okay.
Chelsea, I know Planning Commission went through it. It is zoned for PB, which is retail use. So, and our zoning code allows for anything that's basically selling new product can go in. We don't allow for like flea markets or secondhand stores. Those aren't permitted. It has to be a certain proportion has to be new products. So unfortunately, the dollar store does qualify under that designation.
Yep.
I think that that's
So they
a
really
yeah.
couldn't keep them out.
I understand the zoning in that. I don't know how. I'm really. It's
I know.
unfortunate that I missed it. Not that I could have changed it, but I think that that's an extraordinarily poor decision, especially in that area. You've got Family Dollar that sits right there. That element doesn't look the greatest, and then to put a dollar store right there is absolutely completely counter to everything we've been working hard in this commission. I am furious, to be really frank.
I know.
Not happy. I don't even know what to say about this, but I will go ahead.
relative to that issue,
I
I
know.
was in the Dollar Family, I think it's Dollar Family store right next to Papa John's, the pizza, Caesar's Pizza.
That's what I'm talking about. It's right in proximity. So now we've got a string of low.
Well, I was in that store just last week or this week, and they told me that they were really straightening up the store. It had improved since the last time I was in it. And they told me that they're looking for money to do an upgrade to it because of the competition down the street.
Yep.
So maybe a side benefit to that, maybe with 2 of them there. I don't know.
That's not going to be a benefit. Not for our
Is it
residents.
Dollar General, or is that the new store, Dollar General, or is it Dollar Tree?
I believe it's Dollar General. There's a
So now
similar
our stores
building.
will have a Dollar General, a Dollar Tree, and a Family Dollar. We're the land
There's a-
and an alley, so we're just going to be the land of
I know.
There's a similar building, Ron, on Route
Yeah.
4 that they built. So if you go down Route 4, you'll see a similar structure, same type of building, same type of product line.
Okay.
Okay, so that was all from my report, and we
Mr. Chairman, You may want to cover the commission vacancy. I don't know that everyone's aware of that.
That's the next item on the agenda. We have a commission vacancy. Paul called me this past week to let me know he had received a letter from Paul Booth saying that he could no longer continue on the commission. So that'll leave us with a vacancy. And if anyone knows of a good candidate that can be active on the commission, please bring their name forward at the next meeting or call Paul, myself, or Councilman Herbie and get that person an application to join the commission and get them before the Council Human Resources body for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I have an inquiry into Sally Boyd, our clerk of council, to see if we have any current applications available. I know that they did, the last time we did this, they actually had 2 or 3 individuals who were interested in the Economic Development Commission. So we start there, and if someone's already submitted an application, they would be considered first. But I was going to talk to Sally first, and then if we didn't have anybody in the pipeline, certainly go out and work with our partners like the Forest Park Chamber of Commerce and some of the other groups and try to get the word out that we need to look for applicants. So
Piggybacking on that, I just sent an email to Denise Holt, who's the chair of the Human Resources Committee, about that very thing, suggesting that she contact Sally about people, because of the pandemic, we'd have to go back maybe a year or 2. But I know we've had people who've expressed an interest in that, and we've had to put them off because there were no vacancies. And I thought that Sally should be approached to go back and look and see if there were people who had expressed that interest and make contacts with them to see if they were still interested.
Right. Also,
But I'm working through Denise. So
Diane, correct me if I'm wrong on this. There's also an opening on civil service because of the death of.
No, that was filled.
Oh, that was just filled?
That was filled about a month or 2 ago by Savon.
Oh, Savon. Oh, I
Gibson,
thought there was an additional opening after that. He had a resignation that he filled, and then I thought.
No, I don't think there's a vacancy. I'd have to check, but I don't know that there's a vacancy on it.
Okay. But we had one of the commissioners on civil service meet her demise due to COVID, right, Diana?
Yes.
And she was young, I would think, right? I mean,
well, no, I think, yeah. That one may not, you're right. That one may have just come available after Savon was put on.
Yeah, I thought Lori.
You're right. There may be one on
the
there.
other person, and now I can't think of it. Oh, Kitchens. Yeah, Commissioner Kitchens resigned.
Yeah.
And Savor, I can't say his name.
Savon. You're right.
He replaced her. And then we got word at the meeting just last week.
That's right.
That Lori Wright passed due to COVID. So that was a shock to everybody. I mean, I didn't even know, like Ron, well, he's on our commission and I knew he was sick. But I'm on the commission with Lori, and I didn't hear anything about her being sick.
None of us heard it.
Yeah, it was a shock.
That was a shock.
And I'm thinking, I don't even know, Diane, was she even 60 years old? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So on behalf of the commission and all the other committees and commission that are supporting the development of Forest Park, will we be sending any flowers or anything to the family or anything like that? I only think it's befitting because she was a participant of, the volunteer programs that, I don't know. That just kind of breaks my heart in some respect. And maybe that's something we can discuss later or whatnot. But I think that the commission should consider possibly sending flowers or something to acknowledge. I don't know, to hear it this way, it just seems so casual, and
Yeah. Shock. But I'm not familiar with many,
But it's been almost 2 months ago.
Oh,
Wait.
wow.
Yeah,
I
we only learned about it last
At the
week.
meeting
And it's
last
been like almost 2 months.
yeah, we only heard about it at the meeting last
Yeah.
week. So Herb,
Councilor Herbie and commissioners, I believe that the city, I'm not sure, I'll check with Dawn in the morning, but I believe that the city actually was planning on sending something to the family. Typically, that's what happens. Usually it comes from the city of Forest Park and city council. And then if we want to do something specifically, we can certainly do that. But I think typically it would come from the city of Forest Park and the Forest Park City Council. Councilor Clark, Councilor Herbie, isn't that I think that's how we typically have done it in the past. But however the commission wants to handle it, we can certainly take care of that.
okay, if there's nothing else on that topic, we'll move to the item B, the meeting schedule. Need some input from, I guess, the council ladies and Paul in regard to can we get back to face-to-face meetings at the city building starting next month, perhaps?
I did check with the city manager, and he has actually asked that we hold off possibly through the summer. The reason for that is because we're a public building, apparently there's certain requirements that we have to meet. We're putting in a new system called Lobby Central, which will actually log people into the building and monitor how many people are in the building at any one time. Hopefully we won't have to do this for very long, but it will limit the number of people who are in the building at any one time. And at present, they're not doing evening meetings other than court is my only, I believe that's the only thing that they've made an exception for was court. I think council is even still meeting virtually, if I'm correct. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I think we are rounding the corner. It may not be until the end of the summer, but I do think hopefully we'll be able to get back to in-person meetings either at the end of the summer or first part of the fall. When we come back, it's quite possible we may be meeting in council chambers. We have made some modifications to the council chambers itself. That includes some portable desks that can be brought in, and we can space those apart so that we maintain spacing in an inside meeting. So it could be that we change our location of our meeting and we actually meet in council chambers where we can socially distance and do all that if it's still necessary at that point in time. But I did want to give everybody a heads up. I think we're moving in that direction, but we're probably going to be virtual at least through our May, June, and probably July meetings will probably still be virtual.
Okay, thank you. And that, I think, ends the section 3 under Chairman's report. We'll now move to 4, Council Liaisons report. Councilwoman Herbie?
Yeah, there have been a couple interesting things. At our last work session on Monday, the mayor had scheduled an opportunity for us to hear reports from department heads, some of them, I will say, not all of them, because we had limited time, to just report out to us some of the things that they were doing. And we, of course, we heard from Paul about some of the economic development in the city, and that was very interesting. One of the other interesting things that I found a couple of weeks ago at a council meeting, we found that federal requirements are requiring us to keep federal monies that come into the city in separate funds. And so we had to set up a couple separate funds for one, monies that's coming from FEMA and the CARES Act, And then one that also is a law enforcement trust fund. We had to separate out the federal monies in that fund. So we had to set up a couple separate funds. I found that kind of interesting. But otherwise, pretty much routine things going on. Not a lot of activity. We did have a special council meeting after the work session on Monday, because Bill Arns has reached the mandatory retirement age and is retiring for one day. And then, as we have done in other instances, is being rehired for 3 to 5 years to provide some continuity in that department and to continue his excellent service. So
You mean rehired?
rehired, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, rehired.
Well, that's good because I think he's done a good job as a chief.
He's done a good job. Yeah.
So that's good that we have that him still available to provide for continuity, of a good department.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for Councilman?
Oh, I will piggyback on something you said. The eagle's nests. I don't know whether it's the Ralph and Alice nest, but if you go into Wild Birds, they oftentimes will have the camera that's on the nest in some place. And so
I did.
yeah.
That's interesting. Thank you much.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Wild Birds Unlimited across from the Kroger.
Yeah, the Wild Birds that's right by the old Fitworks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll make it a point to go up there one day in the next week. That's interesting. Okay. That's all. Any questions for Councilman Herbie? No? Okay. Director's report. Paul, take her away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packets was a brief summary of some of the items that we're working on currently. I do want to call your attention to a couple of projects that are underway. We are making progress with the Emeritus Liberty Mutual project at Caroline Business Park. They are working on the building for Liberty Mutual to move their regional headquarters here. That should be anywhere between 300 and 400 jobs. Now, because of the pandemic, we talked about this at our last CDC meeting, these projects are moving a little bit slower than what we probably originally anticipated. We had hoped that that project would be completed by now. But as you can imagine, I think those of you that either have relatives or if you're a part of a corporate office, a lot of people are still not back in the office yet. So we're probably going to see that happen instead of the first quarter, the end of the second quarter of this year before we see that project totally complete. One project that I think we all share some enthusiasm for is, and he's not here this evening, and it's a shame because we talked about it before, but Eddie Miners is moving forward with his redevelopment of the vacant auto car title loan building that was on Hamilton Avenue. I think we can all agree that having LaRosa's there and knowing that Eddie's going to spend well over $1 million, probably around $1.3, $1.4 million to acquire and renovate the site and really convert what had been. I know when we talk about what's going on Northland, we had similar circumstances on Hamilton. So when we have a chance to upgrade that tenant mix, it makes us feel a lot better. So I think that we're looking forward to having Eddie's project done. I did attend, I know that all the council members attended last month, the Whitwoods High School grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony. I have to say that the school district did an excellent job with the building. It's quite impressive on the inside. The theater is remarkable. I'm really looking forward to seeing some productions in the theater. So it should, I think it's a great addition to the community and should help us attract some redevelopment to the Winton Road corridor. We are working with the owners of Northland Tower and looking at some options for a redevelopment in Northland Tower. I can't say a whole lot about it yet, but I'm enthused to see that they've stepped forward and approached us about trying to reposition this building. One of the uses that they're looking at actually would be about an $8 million conversion of the property. So this is not a Band-Aid or a fly-by-night solution. This is a I think could be a really legitimate project for us to take a look at, but I don't want to say too much tonight because it's still in the talking stages, and obviously it has to go through Planning Commission, and if it involves a rezoning, ultimately council. But I did want to give you a heads up. We could have some more information on that project later this month. We are working to pursue the state grant for the Promenade Shopping Center redevelopment project that we've been working on for months now. It seems like this is the project we always laugh. It seems like right when we get to the finish line, we get thrown a curveball and we have to go back several steps and restart the project. The good news is the new owners of the shopping center have agreed to participate in the project grant application with us. And I think that strengthens our application a great deal. We have our original partners with the county, ourselves, Dan Nair and Nair Properties, and now we'll have Woodcrest Capital as a partner on that application as well. So I'm still very optimistic that we can get this done. And the good news is I think we've got a partner who is willing to not only, and by participate, I mean they're going to be making an investment to help us leverage those public sector dollars. There has to be a certain degree of private sector investment to make that grant program work. And I think the fact that Woodcrest is willing to step up is at least a positive step for us right now. We are working on a new office project, and this is just now in the talking stages for Caroline Business Park. I don't want to get too excited about this because these projects, as we've discussed, one, they're taking a little bit longer to bring to fruition, and two, we're very early in the process for this project. But I think it's a good sign that we have seen kind of an uptick in our office activity, whether it's the Liberty Mutual project, the Emeritus renovation. I mean, those two projects alone is about $10 million and 1,000 jobs. And now we've got this third office project that should probably be anywhere between 100 and 200 jobs. We're still waiting to get some details on it, but this is a good project for us as well. So as you can see, we still got some activity going on. I am still working with the city manager. We're looking at our retail properties in the area to try to redevelop and reposition these properties. That's still a priority for us. And of course, that means the mall. And I think we're all ready to see something happen at Forest Fair. But again, the burden ultimately rests with the private property owner. The New York-based company that owns Forest Fair. There are developers interested in redeveloping Forest Fair Mall, but ultimately they have to be willing to sell the property at a reasonable price. And I think we're getting closer, and I think once it happens, once the property sells, we could see a fairly quick turnaround, at least for a portion of the property. Let's remember this is a 90-acre site. And it could potentially be a set of uses on that property. I think we can all understand this is not going to be a 1.6 million square foot shopping mall at the end of the day. It could involve some retail, but in all likelihood, it's going to be some type of a mixed use project or a completely different use coming in. Again, 90 acres on an interstate. There is a potential to attract one or two single users that could come in either with some type of corporate headquarters, regional facility, medical facility. That's all on the table. But I think first things first, we need to find a way to hopefully persuade the owner to move the property. But that's where we're at right now. The other project I wanted to call to your attention in my report is the Hamilton County Library project that's moving forward. This is as you all know, the library is going to invest $10 million to build a next generation library over at the corner of Waycross and Sharon. We have reached an agreement in principle. We're currently working on a letter of intent between the parties. The library has done some of their preliminary work to look at the site. I do think we're going to have some site work that we have to get done there. Those of you who know this property know that this used to be the site of the Forest Park Municipal Swimming Pool. The pool was actually filled in. It wasn't removed. It was just filled in and then graded over. So we're going to probably have some site work that has to be accomplished before the library could begin construction. And we're currently looking at some of those outside sources of funds that we've used in the past to do that, specifically the county's Community Economic Development Advancement Program, CDAP. Those funds were used to do, and we actually used CDAP money to do the demolition on the old activity center on this property back when. We've used that as a source of funds for demolition of some of the other projects we've acquired in town. And that could be used potentially to do some of the site work. The gist of this is it's moving forward. This is not going to be a quick project, though. Those of you who are familiar with that process know the Hamilton County Library is in the process of a comprehensive building plan across their entire portfolio of libraries in Greater Cincinnati. And they're kind of starting with a lot of the renovation work first before they do the new construction. So our project may be 2 years down the road before we start seeing construction on the site, but it is coming, the money is there. And then we would look to acquire the existing library building and convert that to some type of a hub for community services. And if any of you have suggestions on what that could possibly include, feel free to let me know, and I will share those suggestions with council and the city manager.
Paul, I
Yes.
have long thought that the Historical Society is looking for some space. And that might be nice to have a part of that, the Historical Society in there.
You're talking about the Forest Park Historical Society?
We've actually talked about that, Diane. There's actually several community groups. We could make it kind of a community centers hub. That's one thing we've talked about. The other item we've talked about is possibly some type of workforce development center. And then the final thing that we kind of been kicking around, these are all just, there's nothing that's set in stone yet, but we've even talked about maybe having some type of small fine arts center there that would have a small black box theater and maybe some gallery space. We don't have anything like that in the community. So we've talked about a couple of different ideas, but I think, I think Don and the entire staff is interested from hearing from folks that have any suggestions. Remember, the Minority Business Development Center, we kind of targeted Promenade and the 1194 building as the location for that particular facility. But if for some reason that doesn't come to fruition, let's say tomorrow they find a new buyer for the 1194 building, let's say Promenade finds 8 new tenants and they no longer want to lease us the space. It's possible we could look at this building as a spot for that center as well.
Trevina, do you have something you want to say? Trevina?
Yeah, I apologize. I was talking with my granddaughter. She was making me some tea, but I was getting excited about the possibility of having a black box theater. I was getting really excited about that. And then so I apologize. I wasn't trying to be disruptive, but I was talking to
I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, I was telling her thank you for the tea. I apologize.
Okay.
Thank you.
Paul, relative to the proposed location for the library, that's got to be probably 4 acres of land over there, isn't it?
And the library would take the entire 4 acres.
They would do the 4 acres.
Yeah, there's actually another 10 acres that's there adjacent to it. That's part of the old Cameron Park Elementary School property. What we're initially thinking is that this could be a way for us, if you're familiar with some of the sites in town, and probably the closest one to us is the Village Green Center up in Fairfield. That particular development, there's also a similar development in Blue Ash. This could be a great way for us to do some new residential product over there. That area, if you're familiar with it, actually kind of sits in a bowl, and there's actually a chance to do some really neat residential projects over there. And with the library coming in, that would give us an opportunity to connect with a residential developer who could really put, kind of a step-up product for that neighborhood. We've got a lot of great entry-level and mid-level housing in that neighborhood. Might be nice to add that next step in that area. And then that would give us an opportunity to bring some hopefully some more investment to that Northland corridor, not only on the commercial side, but the residential side as well.
I would like to, I'd like to see how the positioning of that library will be. And the fact that they're taking up all 4 acres, is this a 1-story building or more than that?
They're still looking at designs, Councilor Clark. And perhaps what I can do is I can certainly share with council. We'd even talked about maybe trying, once they get a little bit farther along, having them come to a council work session and kind of discuss what their designs look like. They're not really to that point yet because, again, they're kind of focused on their renovation work right now. But the initial concept we saw would actually be more of a kind of a 2-story building that would rise up so you could see it from the street level, and then it might even drop down over the hill and kind of take advantage of the grade there. So they're kind of looking at a couple of different items. Quite honestly, the easier place for them to go would be on the whole Cameron Park property. But I think both the library and us would love to see this project on the corner because we think it creates a gateway into the neighborhood.
Right.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. So, and also just bearing in mind the space, I think residential is wonderful, but specifically on that corner, I wouldn't want to see, residential development because I think that can be an anchor and the best draw we have at getting us close to a community center as humanly possible. We're not going to get any closer than, having a state-of-the-art library right there and then being able to build on it from that. And those buildings we need to, think with future in mind of adding that building, whether it be connected or very, close in proximity. Maybe there's a courtyard in between or something, but, I just I hope that we are thinking along those lines as well.
Certainly. Well, that's why I kind of pointed out like the Village Green up in Fairfield, because if you're familiar with that project. Now, the one thing we wouldn't be looking to do that they did in Fairfield, they had a little more ground to work with. We wouldn't have any desire to do retail there. What we would be looking at would be more, the residential, the community services, public space, the library, making that all work together.
Okay.
Paul, I like that idea of them building on that grade because I think it would be exciting to have entry level from the street as well as from down below.
You mean entry level into the building?
Into the library on the second level at street level. I think that would be exciting.
Yeah, you have the entrance to the current library coming off of Waycross. You could walk up off the
Oh yeah,
Waycross.
Waycross is right on the corner. Waycross and Sharon.
Yeah.
Given what we've seen from the library in the past, I would assume that they'll have some type of community forum where they discuss some of these concepts and try to get community input.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you that are familiar with this process, they've already done that on a couple of occasions here in Forest Park already. And I think we'll probably see something similar when they get closer to putting together a plan for the redevelopment of the site. I just want to make sure everyone, one, understood the project's moving forward, and two, understood that it is going to probably take some time. We were hoping to push this along more quickly, but I think the library has their hands full with all of the renovation work. And I think what they're finding is with some of their older buildings, particularly in the city of Cincinnati, some of those older library buildings that are in Cincinnati neighborhoods, renovating those is quite a challenge. And so I think they're taking advantage of this time to make sure they do that right. And really, the new construction component is going to come after they get through a lot of that renovation phase.
Gotcha.
So, well, I think that's great. But do you think that if they bring it to us and they've already, kind of come up with these ideas, maybe they have 3 different options to choose from or that they will show us. Do you think that at that time it's a little after, and they would have to go back and kind of look at how to incorporate or adjust, or do you think that we submit our thoughts and concerns prior to that stage?
One of the reasons that I have it on our agenda is so we can do exactly that, Councilor Clark. If you have any comments or suggestions, I think getting those and sharing those, and I would encourage council in particular to share them with the city manager as well, so that Don's aware of them. We're pretty good about communicating, but I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. But certainly, if there's any suggestions, any input from the commission or from council, we'll take those concerns to the library folks. And at least to date, they've been very responsive in terms of incorporating our suggestions into their game plan.
I'd like to.
Go ahead, Trevina.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to ask a question. It was pre-COVID. There was some discussion about Caroline Park wanting to develop it in something somewhat similar to what they've done at Summit Park and Blue Ash. And you may have spoken on that and I missed it, but I was just kind of wondering, is that something that we're still looking at as a development possibility for like concert space and dog park and all of that? Or
we are. The project is slowed a little bit. And part of that's because of everything related to COVID. Emeritus is still not in their building. But the other part of it is we've had a change in the real estate team in Nebraska with the corporate headquarters.
Okay.
I don't think it's a negative, but because there's been this change, somebody moved on, and that I think that's left a little bit of a gap. So it's slowed a little bit, but that's still our game plan. And
Okay.
basically to use the existing bell tower, as the architectural element to kind of create this gathering space, and then work with Emeritus on its redevelopment. Now, the great thing that we have going for us is that, there's, when you look at the way a lot of these office parks or commercial properties redevelop, typically they don't have the synergy that we have going in. I mean, we've got one 700 employee company, one 300 employee company. We've got another 200 employee company with Cincinnati testing labs. So we have a lot of synergy at Caroline Business Park that we can be picky. I think that that's one of the things that if we do this over at Caroline, we want something that's Summit Park quality. We don't want to go in and have something that isn't this, similar type of a project. So part of it is A, working with Emeritus, B, trying to line up a developer to work with us on building out the private portion of the property. And then C, I think we really want to try to look at those outside sources of funds, whether that's Department of Natural Resources grant. We use some of that. You might recall we got $100,000 of state capital money for Central Park. Mm-hmm. We want to look to maybe this is a state capital project request in the next round. And again, I think it might be an appealing project because not only is it a great community project, but it augments the environment around this major employment center, which I think we can pitch to the state of Ohio as well. So the key thing is I want to try to put in a funding mechanism that we can, if we do this, that we do it top notch. We don't want to take that on and then do it halfway. We want to take advantage of this because I really see that project and the library project as opportunities to serve both the commercial development in the area, but also, create amenities for these adjoining neighborhoods. I mean, if we do this right, and we do the library project and we do Caroline Park, then all the residential neighborhoods around these properties should benefit from those projects as well.
Has there been any commitment to toward any type of time frames or, are we looking at 2025 or, any commitment to any time frames or anything?
I think we're looking to hopefully acquire the initial piece of the project, which would be the city portion around the Caroline Tower. Emeritus owns the tower. they're willing to sell it to the city really for what I anticipate. And I don't want to say the price necessarily yet because we're still going back and forth, but we've been very pleased with those negotiations to this point. I think that would be the first part, and that could happen as early as this year. And if that happens, I think one of the things we're trying to do is see if we can't line up some outside sources of funds so we can at least start getting the building blocks for the public space in place now. We don't want to buy it and then just be cutting the grass.
Right.
We want to buy it and maybe we put in a shelter or a performance pavilion or something that kind of helps us utilize the space, and it's something we can start programming right off the bat. It may be a little bit small scale in the beginning, but again, if you look at, and I think Summit's a great example. You have the main performance pavilion, but then they also have some side performance shelter areas where they do like yoga classes and their Zumba classes and those types of things. Those are all types of elements that we could program immediately at this and really make this an active area for the neighborhood. That's where I see the real pivotal. I think this has, that dual benefit of serving the neighborhood and then also serving the businesses that are in the area. During the day, we can try to program this space for the people who are working there during the day, having activities, doing things that people can walk out of their office and walk down to the park, take advantage of. And then in the evenings and the weekends, we can program that space for the residents.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for answering my questions.
Okay, that finishes up unfinished business. I think, Paul, actually, we stepped into new business with some of your development strategy plans. Paul?
Yeah, I had a question on Promenade. What
Go
happened to that coffee shop or that coffee developer? Is that still in the works?
We're still working with them. I think we may have mentioned at the last EDC meeting, there were some things about the financial package that we were trying to work out. And I also think that, that project I think they're going to be here, Ron, whether it's a 15,000 square foot space or a 20,000 square foot space or a 10,000 square foot space, we don't know yet. I wouldn't be surprised. I think we're going to get them in. I think we're going to be able to pull them in as part of the redevelopment project over there. But part of it is we need that grant money to kind of make that swing. And until we get a commitment from the state and they're able to take that grant through, and again, we were this close on getting that grant money. I think we were going to get it. And then we got outbid for the shopping center. So we had to withdraw the application, go into the second round. And I think that kind of pushed back the coffee project as well. It's still there. They're still interested. We're still working with them. I tell you, it's been an unusual year because I'm used for, especially on some of the stuff we work on for these projects to kind of, and Diana and I think Chelsea know, typically we can go A, B, C, D, and E, and the project's done and ready to go. And because of this whole past year, it seems like we go A, B, C, D, and then have to go back to B and fix something. And it just seems like every project we're working on is taking twice as long.
Any other questions relative to that?
I do. I have another question. So, I'm thinking about what you said earlier regarding the municipal building being some type of system, we vote or something system being put on it that will limit the amount of people that go into the building. And then I'm thinking about that aspect post-COVID, and then with the development, how are we looking at restrictions for some of this commercial space, the library, that kind of thing? I know COVID has changed a lot, but with the development of, or with the perspective and the possibility of all this new development, are we planning it out as if post-COVID, only so many people in the library? I hope I'm making sense. I kind of feel like I'm kind of babbling a little bit, but
yeah, I don't think that I think there's still from the library project and really honestly, some of the private developments we got going on, they are being designed with a post-COVID world kind of in mind, I think, Trevina.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And when I talk about the stuff we're doing at the municipal building, that is purely for this transition period. I mean, I don't think the goal long-term is to limit access to, we're a public facility.
Right.
So it's really from a health concern until those health concerns are completely addressed, then we'll open up the building and it'll be very similar to the experience that people had before. And actually, because of some of the renovations, I think it's going to be a lot easier for people to use because the public spaces are going to be much more accessible. You might remember the building kind of mixed the public spaces with the office space. And we've done a lot to kind of create pathways into the public spaces. So I think that we'll actually be able to be just as open as we ever were. But until we get to that point, that's what this transition's for. And that system they're putting in now, where people limits the number of people in the building, that's purely for health reasons.
Okay.
We're not looking to, I mean, when we get down the road, we're a public facility. We're going to still be open for business.
Thank you for answering my question.
Okay, back to new business here. Paul, you've touched on some of the strategic plan in regard to development. Do you have any other items to bring up?
Well, Mr. Chair, I think we still have under unfinished business.
Unfinished business, yeah.
Yeah, we still have the Minority Business Development Initiative update. And I think Councilor Clark was going to give us an update on that as well.
Okay, Chelsea, you want to take that over?
Sure, thank you. Not much has changed since our last meeting. I will have a better update at next meeting and a report once we have our meeting next week.
Okay, I know last Wednesday, because of a lot of conflicts with people's schedule, they had to cancel. We had to cancel that meeting.
Mr. Chair, we are looking, and I think Councilor Clark referenced that we are looking to get on a regular schedule with that Minority Business Development Initiative group. And we had talked about those meetings being on the first Wednesday of every month. Is that correct, Chelsea?
Yes, that's correct.
And did you have a time in mind? Were you thinking 7?
It was in the email.
Okay.
I'm sure it was 6 or 7 o'clock. I'll have to look. I'm not in front of my email right now, but
yeah, just let me know what it is, and I'll make sure that we get those set up for the Zoom calls and set that up. And
I will say that we've got, so the mortar cohort has been going very well. We actually talked with some people that are in it. I had the chance to meet with Malachi Terry, who's the owner of iRepair, which is over in Carolina, near Ollie's over there. He owns a cell phone repair company, and talked with him on Sunday in person, and he was so excited about what they're doing and what they're learning and what it gives them access to, because it comes with so many different resources when it comes to marketing and branding. It puts them in contact with people that can help utilize his services in the industry that are at a corporate level and other connectors. And it helps him to, kind of tighten up and further build out his financial forecasting models, et cetera. So I received some great feedback. I did have a meeting as well. It was an informal meeting, but nevertheless, it was a good one with Racky and his vice president for the Cincinnati Biker Association or Cincinnati Writers. I'm messing that all the way up, but the point is that it was a really, really great informative session because what we're looking at is how are we going to partner, because you've got a lot of minority writers in this area, and we like over 100 of them descended upon Park Place on Sunday. And so I got to, have that meeting with them inside. And so it was really good. And so we're going to look at how we're going to partner and kind of help bolster and add some excitement to some of these minority opportunities, like business wise. And then also there's another outfit that has a networking organization there at Park Place. And so they've reached out to me, and we've got a meeting scheduled so that we can discuss what's going to happen in terms of just, enveloping them into the network. So I'll have some more information next time for you.
Okay. Where did you want to go next, Paul?
We've already kind of touched on the marketing proposal, but I did want to let you know, as I mentioned in my report to all of you, you might recall we had 2 different individuals present us with marketing proposals over the past several months. In talking with the city manager, and I think Councilor Hervey may have brought this up previously as well, I think it probably would behoove us to postpone making a decision on the economic development portion of this until the city has moved through with their community-wide initiative. And the reason I say that is I hate for us to kind of be, duplicate efforts. There's no need to kind of recreate the wheel. If council's moving in one direction and the city manager, and they have a marketing effort that's doing some of the elements that we're talking about, then we can take a look at ours and actually kind of focus ours in a specific area. And rather than, kind of copy what's already being done by the city. So I would suggest that we may want to hold this until the fall. Take a look and see where city council and the city manager go with the citywide initiative. It could be that it's, we may not even do our own thing. It may be something where we're contributing to what they're doing citywide. The more I talked to Don and the more I heard what they're working on, I think Diana's right. I think we would be better off kind of holding this until we see where the city as a whole is going. The other thing is quite honestly, we're going to launch this year, but we really wouldn't see a lot of the programming go into effect until 22 anyway. So I don't think we're really losing anything by postponing this until a decision until the fall. But I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that we were kind of moving in that direction. Again, this doesn't mean that we're stopping. So any of you have any suggestions or comments or concerns, make sure you let me know and I'll share those with the city manager as well.
All right, Paul, I guess you're still on. What else do you have?
In new business, we have the Economic Development Strategic Plan Review. I know Ron probably, I remember, took a lot of interest in this, and it kind of got placed on the back burner with COVID. I kind of put together a new schedule in your packets that kind of leads us through the proposed revision for the 5-year strategy that we typically take. So if you want to take a look at that schedule, I did include some of the information that I shared in my update to council because I've tried to incorporate some of the comments of the commissioners into our program of work already. Our typical program of work is business retention, business recruitment, commercial property marketing, and then some redevelopment work. And what we've done is really emphasize the redevelopment of the city-owned properties, the redevelopment of underperforming commercial properties, and added the business development and inclusion, minority business development and inclusion element, which is honestly, as we've talked, something that was missing from our program of work in the past. I think we always had it in the back of our mind as a goal, and we always worked towards that. But I concur wholeheartedly that we need to kind of codify that, put that into a recognizable program, and start making that a part of our annual program of work as well. But the key thing tonight was making sure everybody was comfortable with that schedule. If you are, I kind of see us moving down this path. And in preparation for our next meeting, I will put together a revised plan that incorporates some of these existing recommendations, and then we can discuss that strategic, kind of the framework for that strategic plan at our May meeting.
That sounds good to me.
Who had something to say? One of the ladies?
I said, that sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, what else, Paul? Funding?
Hey, Paul, I had a quick question. The old Kmart, the Waycross. Well, now what is that part of Forest Park, or is that is because I never hear any
That is
mention of
ours.
development to
Yeah, that
develop.
is part of our redevelopment program, Ron. So
Is
we
that
actually,
considered what? What do you guys call it? Is that Carrollton or what?
well, the property at the corner of Waycross and Hamilton, where the old Kmart used to be, is actually just referred to as the Waycross property.
Okay.
It's approximately just under 12 acres. We had been holding that property for years in the hopes of landing a regional office headquarters there. That's probably not going to happen on this property, not because it's a bad piece of ground, but because our office product is going to gravitate towards either Kemper Meadow, Caroline Park, or ultimately the mall property when we get that available for redevelopment. Those are going to be our office hubs. What we're looking to do here is find it, hopefully a single user company that will come in, build a new facility there. It may be tech, it may be light industrial, but when I say light industrial, the emphasis is on light. We would look for something that is going to really create a nice gateway into this neighborhood. We had somebody approach us about putting in a industrial park there, believe it or not. It would have been a $10 to $12 million project, but this would have been similar to what you see on Sebring Drive or on Adwood Drive with the multi-tenant buildings or along Northland. That's not the image we want to create on this property. We want to create a gateway development leading in. I think we're just open to the concept that maybe this isn't an office building. This may be some type of single user company, but we want to create something that brings some jobs in, creates a nice entryway on that corner, and kind of creates a nice gateway leading into our office environment that's going to be at Caroline.
I had absolutely no idea that there was a Kmart at one point. I think that was before my residential time, so that was good to know. And I'd like to request that if you're not speaking, if we could put our microphones on mute, because my background is horrible and I'm having a hard time hearing. So thank you all.
All right, Paul, what else do you have?
The last item that I have for everyone tonight, and this shouldn't take up much time, we've already touched upon it. We are looking wherever we can to leverage outside sources of money to make sure that we're utilizing taxpayer resources in an effective manner. I mentioned the state capital money. I mentioned the CDAP project by Hamilton County. Earlier this month, I met with a representative from the Economic Development Administration to see if there would, and I think there is some interest on their part in working with us on the conversion of either the Promenade property into a minority business development center, or depending on what we do, if we don't do a fine arts building would be a different source of funds for the existing library building. But if we do some type of workforce development center there, or some type of job center or an offshoot of the incubator space or something, that could also qualify for EDA money. So we're always looking for those outside sources of funds. And again, I would encourage, if any of you hear of potential sources, grant dollars, or anything that we can pursue, that is something that the city manager has really charged the staff with, to go out and try to identify ways that we can leverage our own resources to make sure that we're giving people the greatest possible return on their investment as we can. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that it's a part of our economic development program, that we've had some success. As all of you know, we landed about $450,000 to do the magnet fax and machining projects over on Northland. We also landed the $100,000 for the Central Park improvements. So that's all in the last couple of years, but we really are looking to try to leverage that money as best we can And again, I think our goal, one of the things that the city manager has asked me to do is try to look for ways that we can make these truly transformative projects. I saw everybody kind of nodding before when we were talking about the need to put first-class redevelopment in place. That's the goal. When we talk about Promenade, when we talk about Civic Center, when we talk about the civic-owned properties, and even when we finally get around to a new owner at the mall property, we want these projects to be transformative. We don't want to just, kind of take the first thing that presents itself and kind of kick the can down the road. We really want to do some things that really start to reposition the community. Diana, did you have a question?
Kind of a comment. I know at times you've bounced around the idea of an entrepreneurial hub in the library. I really would like to see that corridor develop as a cultural area, and would be more interested in like a fine arts center or something down there. But what I was thinking of, there's been a lot of talk about closing the Cone Station, which would still be a city property and a city building.
Which station? Oh,
The Cone Station, the Cone Station, fire station on the east side of town.
Right.
That would be our property, our building, which might be, because it's by industrial retail, that might be a possibility for a entrepreneurial hub.
Absolutely. I think, Diana, part of this is we are taking a look at these properties. Again, we don't have anything set in stone and I would assume that at an upcoming work session, the city manager may have us come in and actually kind of talk about potential projects for the existing library building. But Chris Anderson, our planning director, actually came up with the idea for the Cultural Arts Center. And I have to tell you, I'm the same way. I think all of these are elements, but I like that idea. If you think about what the library would bring, what the center could bring, and then I don't think that stops us from pursuing the concept that Councilor Clark talked about adjacent to the library, but it kind of makes that a real community hub then. And I see this as a way, because I used to live over in the C section, and I see this as a way, all of those houses in C and D, it's a great opportunity for us to start attracting reinvestment to those properties then. And Chris and I went and looked, there's a house, and I can't remember the street in C section, but somebody took one of those mid-century modern houses, that has the carport, kind of the triangular windows in front. So, which are neat houses to begin with, but they redid the total facade on the front of it. And I'll take a picture of it and share it with all of you, because it's remarkable what that does to these houses. And I mean, it's a really beautiful, and honestly, probably not terribly expensive to do. But it really dresses up the house and put a new facade on it. And I think if we do this over with the library and this adjoining project, we're going to be able to attract more resident owners over there who are willing to do that to those homes. And, they're great entry-level homes to begin with, but they do have that mid-century modern architecture that, we could just totally reinvigorate C-section, D-section, this, and then that helps us try to sell new development on the retail side at Northland, and try to bring in better tenant mix there. I think it gives us an opportunity to do some things, again, looking at our property and doing some public space. Northland, ironically, we always thought was going to be the toughest part of this development puzzle. Library project could open the door for us to do some really remarkable work. So that's what we're hoping.
Okay.
I'm sorry, are you done?
Go ahead, Chelsea.
Okay, that was excellent. Good idea as well, Diane. So just lastly, last week, the Reimagine Main Street and business organization, they got a new advisor because they have now rolled out with a new paid leave tax credit for employers. So if you are an employer, what this does is it allows you to offset the cost for providing small employers full pay for any of the time that their employees go to get their COVID-19 vaccinations, or if they have a bad spell with the vaccination and they need recovery time, it pays those employers for that time off. So there's that.
Well, that's,
Councilor Clark, and if you can share that information, if you can shoot that in an email to me, I can see if we can't post it on our Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
I think we can probably do that.
I
that's
can
a,
do that.
that's a segue into the discussion area here. Has everybody on the commission got their COVID shot?
I was waiting till it came to the senior center.
Oh, you
I
haven't
thought
got,
it comes next week. Diane, am I right or wrong on that? Diana, you're muted. Oh, she got the shot. That's why she can't talk.
you're on mute.
No, I got my shot, so I'm not on top of when it is, but I know that there is one scheduled for the senior center.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go to.
The best contact would probably be, I think, Alfie.
Oh, yeah.
Alfie or Jermaine?
Yeah.
Well, I am fully vaccinated, and the first shot was fine. The second shot did knock the wind out of me.
Did you get the Moderna?
I got Pfizer.
Oh,
So my entire family is vaccinated, including my 82-year-old mother-in-law.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, my
Right.
16-year-old, myself, my husband. The 12-year-old cannot be vaccinated as of yet, but if at some point, if she's able to be vaccinated, we probably will get her vaccinated. But yeah, just wanted to let you guys know we did do it. And that second shot was a doozy. It really was. I had no idea.
Jermaine, I had the same experience. I had the Pfizer also, and nothing on the first shot, and the second shot, I was down for a couple of days.
and you got,
Not real bad, but I felt like doing nothing.
I felt
had
like
no
doing
energy.
nothing. I was somewhat nauseated, extremely tired. I slept, and it was just I was not expecting that. I didn't feel miserable, but I didn't feel great. I didn't feel like me. I didn't like that feeling. It just was, like I said, it knocked the wind out of me, literally.
and Paul, you got the Pfizer as well? Yes.
Yes.
I did as well, but I had no reactions either time other than essentially a sore arm.
Well, I question, personally, person to person, I question about 30 people who got their COVID shots. And I'd say 60 to 70% of them got the Pfizer. The other 30% got the Moderna. However, I've only heard about 4 people that have had adverse effects from the Pfizer, but I've heard about 8 or 10 that have had adverse effects from Moderna. And then on the news the other day, they gave a report that it's national. Yeah, Moderna has got more reports of negative effects after the shot than Pfizer. Did anyone else hear that? That was on a report on the news the other day.
Only anecdotally.
Okay. And then relative to it, 2 other comments in regard to COVID. On the way home today, I heard about some place in, I forget where it was. I want to say Blue Ash or somewhere. They set up to give 5,000 shots last Sunday, and only 1,200 people showed up. Did anyone hear about that?
Whoa, no.
Yeah. So shots are available, and if anyone needs I have a link to go to called Get My Shot. That's Get My Shot. I think it's .coronavirus.ohio.gov. And that'll take you to where you answer about 5 questions like, how old are you? Have you already got a shot? Have you got another vaccine recently? asks you about 5 questions plus your age. And when you put that all in there and your zip code, it will say in your area, these are these places where you can get a shot. And there's all kind of places available right now that have opened up. So I don't see why anyone can't get a shot at this time. Go ahead, anyone?
I was gonna
I
say,
just,
my wife and I, we both had COVID. When she got her first shot, she got sick probably about 3 days. When she got the
Mhm.
second shot, it was just as I don't know. She got sick again. So I still need to take mine. But from what I understand, for those of us who have it, it's almost like you relive it again. It's like
no.
the symptoms of it. So I haven't had mine, but I need to do it. But when I saw now she has to do it because she's actually a teacher. So, but man, I don't know if they're reporting it, but it is for those of us who have it, it is like reliving it. And when I say that was a bad time, I don't want to relive not 2 minutes of it. So I
Right.
have pushed it off like crazy. I'm like, oh.
I have too because of that. I'm really nervous. I'm like, I can't be feeling like I used to.
Yeah.
I did before, but you
I
guys
will
did
tell
a
you,
great.
I heard the same thing Councilor Herbie had, I think, is that the experiences are just, whether you had COVID or not, it's the full range. Some people,
Yeah.
there is no impact whatsoever. I had one friend who had a pretty good case of COVID. He got his vaccines, no problem, nothing. And then I got it and felt lousy for a couple of days. And my brother had the same shots I had, nothing. It really affects different people in different ways.
Yeah.
Well,
My
you guys, hey,
mother-in-law,
I think this was a great meeting. I just want to say good night. I'm gonna have to hop off here. I've got kiddos to take care of, but guys have a great rest of your week and look forward to talking with you again.
Thank you for your participation, Chelsea.
Bye, Council.
Good
You're
luck.
welcome.
Good luck, Chelsea,
Thank
on your
you.
pitch.
Thank
So my mother-in-law, who's 82, got her shot. She didn't have any symptoms. My husband had no symptoms. The 16-year-old had no symptoms. Myself, it knocked the wind out of me. So like you said, Paul, it's really about individually how it affects you. So
Yeah. All right, is there any other discussion by anyone? Anyone have any topics they want to bring up?
I do have something I'd like to recap on that happened a few months ago, which was pre-COVID. We had a gentleman from the Hamilton County Commissioner Robert, I can't think of his last name.
Was
but
it
he came, Robert Bell, yes. He came to one of our commission meetings
Right.
and I can't find those notes. I was just kind of thinking about all of that and just trying to keep track of what's going on and why it's happening. Can someone recap for me the discussion that we had with him? Because I can't find my note. It was before I started using a notebook. I can't
You
find.
have that at hand there?
I think what I could do, Trevina, he gave us a PowerPoint, I think. I can get the PowerPoint out for you and send it over to you.
I appreciate that.
His presentation focused a lot on minority inclusion,
Yeah.
particularly with regards to purchasing and contracting, if I remember. And I think that was something that I know I took back to the city manager, and I think council may have even discussed it somewhat, because I know there was some talk about maybe having him come in and talk to council potentially, because it was more kind of on the inclusion angle than the minority business development angle. It was more on how cities could promote economic inclusion kind of in their contracting and purchasing policies.
Thank you. I don't really need the PowerPoint. That gives me an opportunity to just kind of jot down some notes so that I know. If you want to send it to me, great. But I just try to keep a list and a log of the conversations that we have. So thank you very much.
Anybody else have anything additional?
Well, just piggybacking on Paul, I don't know what council would have to do with that because that's really city manager purview to deal with, that kind of management issue. But it could have been on his radar to talk about it with us. But like you said, it was right prior to COVID, so everything might have gotten put on a back burner with regard to having him in.
Right.
Thank you, Councilman Herbie. Anybody else have anything? There being nothing else, we'll have a motion to adjourn. So moved, seconded.
Second,
Okay, Trina,
Ravina.
It is
Trevor.
okay, Ed. It's Pravina, yes.
Ron seconded. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you all for your participation tonight. I'm grateful we had a quorum. And
Yes,
the next meeting will be 1 month from today, right?
yes, yes.
Okay, well then we'll see you all then. Everybody stay healthy, please.
You
Yeah.
too.
Take
Thank
care.
you all. Have a good
You
evening.
guys have a good one.
Bye.
Virtual